How's it going? Now, this news broke after I did my video yesterday. There's a lot of people there doing videos on this one. On this topic, there's some LawTube videos, which were more able to answer questions I won't be able to answer. All I could do was express my opinion and my disappointment in the decision of the Colorado Supreme Court. Now, I get that not articles, but the 14th Amendment, Section 3, doesn't say that he has to be convicted. But however, a law is built upon other laws, and he does have the 14th Amendment also says due process. The 5th Amendment says due process. So, of course, he would have to be charged with insurrection in order to be removed from the ballot. That is my personal opinion. Whether or not it holds legal scrutiny is up for the United States Supreme Court. So Donald Trump has been banned from the ballot in Colorado. So what happens next? The U.S. Supreme Court may determine Donald Trump's electoral fate in Massachusetts and other states after Colorado Supreme Court ruling barred him from the statewide ballot in 2024. Efforts to remove Trump from the ballot are underway in Massachusetts, Maine, while cases in New Hampshire and Rhode Island have been dismissed. If more states follow Colorado's lead, it could complicate Trump's bid for the GOP nomination in 2024 and his general election prospect against President Joe Biden. The last time states removed a person from the ballot, we fought a civil war, and it brought upon the 14th Amendment, which includes Section 3. I don't know if this is the route that these states want to go to or not. That's just the synopsis. I'm not going to read into these stories because you probably already read all these stories from the AP. Of course, we got my Attorney General, Dan Patrick, suggests taking Biden off the ballot in Texas. Kind of. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan, actually not Attorney General, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick suggests removing President Biden from the ballot due to his handling of the immigration, citing Colorado Supreme Court ruling against Trump. Patrick proposed Republicans unilaterally exclude Biden from the ballot in Texas, but he clarifies his party will not do this because we believe in democracy. Trump's 14th Amendment challenge Colorado is being accused of an insurrection causing uproar, leading Patrick and other Republicans to lash out at the Democrats. I still think if we're going to say that someone engaged or provided aid and to disqualify them from holding office, there needs to be a trial. If not, then Kamala Harris cannot be vice president. She needs to be removed from office because she's no longer eligible because she gave comfort by promoting bail service to people that riot during the summer love riots. Isn't that not an insurrection? Or is it not because they just destroyed a bunch of property, but they didn't prevent governments from operating? Is that going to be the excuse? And also, how come every time any other group, regardless if they did damage or not, stormed the Capitol, prevent them from doing the government business? Why is that not an insurrection? If that's going to be the standard, then I want that standard to be applied equally. That's just my opinion. Biden denounces Trump as doubling down on support for insurrection. President Joe Biden acknowledged that the former President Donald Trump supported an insurrection following the Colorado Supreme Court ruling that Trump is disqualified from the presidency. However, the courts found that he engaged, but it wasn't him on trial. He is not being charged. They just found him to be engaged, but there's no criminal charge that he engaged, just that they ruled that he engaged, so he's disqualified. Biden states that it's evident that Trump supported the insurrection and leaves the decision of the 14th Amendment to the court. That's Biden's opinion. The Colorado Supreme Court disqualified Trump from the presidency and ordered his removal from the ballot due to his involvement in the January 6th U.S. Capitol riot. Where's the charge? Jack Smith is not charging them for insurrection. But of course, that's Biden's support. I mean, that's what Biden's opinion is. Not real democracy. RFK Jr. blasts Colorado Supreme Court blocking Trump from the ballot. Let's see here. Critics argue that the court's decision put the country in a dangerous path, removing fail-safes and extending the meaning of the 14th Amendment. The court decision was based on a long dormant provision of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment disqualification clause. And here we go. Here is the next state. I am sure since Colorado found that Trump engaged in an insurrection, that means he is disqualified, so California is going to follow suit. California Lieutenant Governor is calling to have Donald Trump removed from the ballot. Here, the Colorado's court found that Trump should not be listed among the candidates in the 2024 primary. California must stand on the right side of history. Kalaka's letter says the California presidential primary is March 5th, 2024. And we're going to read this story. That's Fox News. Didn't realize that was Fox News, but who cares? I'm going to read it. It says at center, KTVU Fox 2 bias is centered. California Lieutenant Governor seeks to remove Trump from the primary ballot. Following the ruling of Colorado Supreme Court said that Donald Trump is ineligible for the state presidency primary, California Lieutenant Governor is calling to have him removed from the ballot here. Colorado found that Trump should not be listed among the candidates in the 2024 primary because of his actions around the January 6th riot at the Capitol's amounts to an insurrection. Based on Colorado Supreme Court ruling, I urge you to explore every legal option to remove former President Donald Trump from the California 2024 presidential primary ballot. Krolnolakis, I can't pronounce the name, I'm sorry, wrote in a letter to Secretary of State Shirley Weber that was released on Wednesday. California must stand on the right side of history. You should stand on the right side of history and democracy by letting him be on the ballot. If the people of California do not want him, and if America does not want them, we will not give him the nomination. That is the right side of history. It's here. The Constitution is clear. You must be 35 and not been in insurrection to be president of the United States. Time is short to make the decision. No, the time is not short. You had 4 years to do this. You knew when he left in 2020 that he was going to run again. Now that he's running, you're waiting to the last very possible moment to disqualify him or allegedly disqualify him. Let's see, the time is short to make the decision. Weber must announce the certificate list of the candidates on December 28th, which is 8 days from now. California presidential primary is March 5th, 2024. Trump team criticized Colorado ruling and said it would appeal the Supreme Court. The ruling issued by the Supreme Court, or Colorado Supreme Court, attacks the very heart of the nation's democracy, and it will not stand. And we trust that the Supreme Court will reverse this unconstitutional order, Trump's legal spokeswoman, Alina Habit, said on Tuesday. Like I said, I've said in a couple of videos, if he is guilty of being an insurrectionist, charge him as being an insurrectionist. Now, there is one part of the ruling that I do agree with the Colorado Supreme Court, is that the president is not immune to being an insurrectionist. The role of the president is not immune for the role of being an insurrectionist, meaning that if the president, as he is leaving, causes an insurrection, then yes, he should be held accountable. One way to hold him accountable is through an impeachment, and Congress has the power to impeach. The House impeaches, The Senate puts him on trial. Over 2/3 votes to remove them from being able to seek office. They tried that in 2021. They failed to garner 2/3 of the votes in the Senate, so he was found not guilty, and it should have ended right there. Now, I get that some people argue that you could still charge him. It's not double jeopardy. If you could charge him if he is found guilty, then you could charge him if he is found not guilty. I think that's double jeopardy, but that's just my personal opinion. Now, but like I said, if he is truly guilty of this crime, then there should be a trial, criminal trial, to say that he is guilty. You just cannot rule that he engaged in an insurrection without actually charging him. That's just my personal opinion. That's the opinion of many legal scholars. There's people that disagree with that, and that's fine. I am hoping that this case goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court actually takes this case and rules in a manner that has made it clear whether Trump is ineligible or that Trump is eligible. There needs to be a concise ruling from the Supreme Court on this to say one way or the other. They shouldn't try to do a ruling that leaves more questions than answers. And I have a feeling that they may rule that Trump did not engage in an insurrection and his speech at the Capitol was protected and he did not incite violence. They may rule on that, but they may not rule that states don't have the authority to remove a federal candidate from the ballot. They may wiggle around that, or they may turn around and say Congress did not Congress did not convict Trump, and only the authority of the federal Congress has the authority to remove people from office or being eligible to office. They may go that route, which will be a definite answer. Or they could not take up the case and say it's a political question, which that is definitely an option that they have, and it's going to leave this question unanswered. I come from the opinion that I want this question answered one way or the other. So be it if Trump is removed from all 50 states because the Supreme Court ruled in that way. I'll be okay with that. I may not be happy with it, but I'll be okay with it. Or it could rule that he must be on all 50 states because Congress holds the power. Or he needs to have a conviction of being an insurrection or sedition in order for him to be ineligible to hold office. Those are some very valid opinions, in my humble opinion, that should take place. With that being said, have yourself a wonderful day, morning, or evening.